Hello, hi, nice to meet you. I enjoyed the movie.
Thank you so much. I'm Amy, and I was the storyline producer. This is my sister
Right.
Kimberley. Yes, and I was the producer, and I also played Henrietta in the film.
Of course. Now, the film is dedicated to your father. Why did you decide you wanted to make the film as a tribute to him?
Well, I think, I love that question. I think basically, he had just passed away, so we wanted to make it was sort of like quite a few years ago. Basically, we would call each other and we would talk about our like relationship issues, and we kind of thought that having a father die so young affects you and affects the way that you date. We wanted to make a story that was funny about it, that would be laughter for us and hopefully for people. So that was sort of our springboard jumping off point, and then we interviewed all our friends and asked them what their kind of modern dating stories were. And I was living in LA at the time, and Amy was living in Israel, and we used to call each other up and be like, oh my god, she had this experience, he had that experience. And in LA it was like all this Peter Pan syndrome where like the guys never wanted to commit or grow up. And so we kind of felt like we needed and always swiping and never like committing to anyone, and we just wanted to make a film about that. We loved like rock in the 90s, and like wanted to make something that felt modern, because like we referenced the Mean Girls book in the film with Henrietta's boy box, and so it was really important to have those kind of references to the 90s references and try and modernize them with this film. So that's kind of our inspiration. That's our inspo.
Well, now to get to the heart of your daddy issues, what do you think he'd think of the film if he could see it?
My God. Well, he was massive entrepreneur. So he always, this is part of the story as well, but he always wanted us to pursue a business career, and like, but we're both so creative, and so we found it difficult between both. But I think that he'd be proud that we've like tried to do both, kind of like, and do what he wanted. And I think that actually, like, in terms of him, our career push, he always had a massive influence on us in that. But then again, when you think about producing a film, then there's a lot of business as well as creative. So I think he'd be really proud of us. I mean, at a moment, maybe he might not have thought that we'd interpret them like that. But for the most part.
Well, was it fun working together as sisters on the film?
We were actually talking about this earlier, and we were like, everyone always asks what's it like to work with your sister, and we're incredible. We never stop talking about the actual film. Like, we love to work hard, and like we care more than anyone else would, because we're like blood related, I guess. And we realized the other day that we're actually the only real sister production company in the UK. And so like, I think a lot of the time, we do have disagreements, but creatively we don't disagree about creative decisions, which really we always trust each other. If we say that creatively we think this, we'll say, okay, I agree, because that's one thing we don't want to argue on. So we just we chose people to work with on the film that were also kind of a similar, had a similar kind of outlook, and that worked really well. We're lucky in that way.
Amy, you wrote the story, and of course, Kimberley, you basically brought Henry to life. But in what ways does Henry like you, and what parts were more difficult for you to get sort of a handle on, both as an actor and as a writer? Was he based on either of you, or both of you, or neither of you, or how did that work?
Well, first of all, I'm a stand-up comedian, so I also do stand-up. So I think in that way, there was similarities. I think she is she's different to me in a way that she seems a lot more kind of searching, whereas but I think everyone's always searching for something, but maybe Yeah, there's similarities. There's differences, but I think the similarities are that you know, she feels deeply about things, but she always looks for the comedy in the situation, and even though it's not easy for her to find that, she still, you know, there's a saying where it's even you know, look for the light, because look for the crack, because even because that's where the light gets in. And a very uplifting part of the film, but also just finding those comedy tropes that
we tried to make it as real to life as we could in ways that we no worries, that we use like all these props, like our dad's actual jumper when Kimberley did the stand-up, which I can imagine was really emotional for you to actually do.
Yeah, putting my dad's jumper on and playing a really emotional scene, I didn't really have to stretch that far as an actress. But then having studied at Stella Adler and learning sort of imagination techniques, there was certain scenes where on the day, you know, if you're feeling really happy or excited, that you can sort of jump into those techniques from training, and it really helped with the role. But we also tried to do a lot of improv on set, so we did like sort of
we were okay with keeping the script quite loose, because we got a lot of really good comedy actors and let them ad lib a bit, and we cut some things in that were really natural, and we really liked that style.
We had like the fuck it principle, where we were like, okay, we'll do 4 really good takes that we know are totally on script if we need them, and then this one scene that we'd do that if it wasn't good, we could throw it out. But then we had this kind of, in the edit, we found that those were the scenes that really popped, because they were really true to the actors. Like when Terence has the lizard scene, or the scene.
Don't look at the lizards, Terence.
That was all improv. Or like the cupboard, where he's like, you know, did you buy one of my lizards? Like that was all improv, and you know, that's a real character. He really found the nuances of someone that might live that life. So they all trained at UCB and Groundlings, and you can really feel that when you watch it.
Well, if you don't mind me saying so, Henry has perhaps the worst taste in men in the world. Was that something that came from real life, or was that just sort of a fun thing to play with?
That definitely does, yeah. Amy, the amount of times Amy had to talk me out.
I'm just joking.
But I mean, the amount of times that, I don't know. Probably. Yeah, I mean, the thing is now is like the film, in a way, it was quite cathartic to make, because I think that I'm a reformed daddy issues girl. Like I used to have.
We watch it back now and we're like, do we really have those issues? But we really did.
Yeah, and I think that it's something that our generation does go through. Like the more serious point about people now not being able to afford to move out of home after university. You know, that, like where Henrietta moves back, like those,
or just like swiping through guys like it's like with no kind of wanting of an actual relationship. Like that was definitely something that we
modern dating, the fact that you can just use Tinder, and like
are you looking for the right things, are you actually looking for something deeper, like all those things.
Now Kimberley, you had mentioned that you're a stand-up comedian, and the place that your character is at, she's a stand-up comedian, but she's not feeling very funny right now. So is it difficult doing like those scenes where she's sort of like flaming out, like particularly that one where she's burying her soul in the middle of this comedy shop, and everyone's just waiting for the jokes to come?
I think it was quite jarring, and I went and did a couple of stand-up gigs after that, and I felt like, oh my God, like, you know, in stand-up,
well, that must be the worst nightmare for a comedian.
It is, yeah.
They bombing.
Yeah, they literally call it bombing. So it's like, I was just thinking, okay, I hope this joke lands, I hope this joke. But I think with stand-up, it's like the less you care, the more funny it is. So I think because Henrietta in that moment cares so much about how funny she is, that actually she becomes so much less funny. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, Henry's a very smart, worldly woman, but in a lot of ways, she's kind of needy. She really needs people to like her. Was that sort of a difficult headspace to get into as an actor and a writer?
I think that all creatives are searching for something or understand something deeper about the human condition. So I think that neediness is something that I think is actually a positive thing in a way. It means that you care about what people think. But I do think that Henrietta is also it's obviously overemphasized because it's a character. But yeah, I think sometimes
we were definitely trying to hype up that kind of selfishness of the millennial and be quite self-aware with it.
Yeah,
I hope it comes across.
Yeah, I mean, also because we realised that Henrietta, you know, she can think a lot about her own needs, and I think that the point of this film is that we were very aware writing this film that it might come across like woe is me kind of thing, but we're actually trying to mock that about the film and actually say this is how somebody of our generation is, you know, with the Instagram generation and things. And so we need to look past that and try to understand more about the kind of people that they really are, you know, make them three-dimensional.
Now, as an audience that's sort of been raised on romantic comedies, as soon as you see Nolan, everyone's thinking, okay, yeah, they're going to hook up. Why was it important for you to guys keep sort of barriers in between their relationship and obstacles in the way?
I think the film, we were very inspired by the normcore movement, which is the Greta Gerwig, Frances Ha. So those stories are more of a slice of life comedies. And
so we even debated whether they should hook up at all, because we didn't think the film was about them hooking up, and we didn't want it to be about the romance. We wanted it to be kind of anti-rom-com in a way, but it's cathartic to see them hook up, so we couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Now tell me the truth. Do you think that Nolan will ever finish that deck?
Oh my God, hilarious.
Oh my God.
He's never going to finish it.
I don't think so. Now on Alice's subplot, I have to admit I wasn't sort of all that familiar with the whole sugar baby lifestyle. How did you find out about that, and why did you think that was sort of an interesting idea to explore?
Oh my gosh.
Well, I think it came a lot from actually our research, asking people and researching modern dating. And there's so many different apps for so many different, you know, religions, like types of dating that you want to do, you know, just a whole range of apps. And, you know, it speaks to our culture of the startup generation. And so one of them is this app that does a similar thing. So we wanted to explore that as a part of daddy issues, you know, because all three characters have daddy issues. So, you know, with Nolan dating a mom, and he can't come to terms with the fact that he's a dad. Yeah. So I think that was something that we wanted to tell, that story of a woman that was a three-dimensional character.
We live in London, and a lot of people can't afford. We have a lot of friends that work in like fashion or something, and it's their passion, but they can't afford to pay the rent and stuff. And we actually have friends that have done this. We couldn't believe it, and we were like, this is quite an interesting storyline to explore. So that's how we came across it.
Well, speaking of being in London, I mean, obviously Henry was from London and she moved to LA and everything, and you moved to LA for real, and you were living in Israel for a while, but you've made it back to London. Do you feel that London is your home and that's where you really need to be, or do you enjoy sort of moving around?
We love moving around, but there is something about London when you fly back and you kind of are in a cab and you see those like cobbled streets that definitely feels like home, and you can't get away from where home is sometimes. Like, do you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I do love everything about LA, and
we've come to feel very connected to LA as well. Like, it's become another home for us, hasn't it?
I think we're both, we didn't really grow up together because we both went to boarding schools. So I think we're very used to living in different parts of the world, moving around. Because when we were younger, we lived in like France, Luxembourg, loads of different countries. So I think that like we tend to find that we're the kind of personalities that sort of,
our dad was a bit of a crazy eccentric, and he only would wear a suit, and then would just get another suit, like he would travel with just nothing, and he would just basically spend his time traveling. It was a crazy. So yeah, we like to travel too.
So yeah, so we kind of feel at home. We kind of feel at home in a lot of places, but I think, you know, home is where the heart is. But
yeah,
I think London's
always got something about it.
Yeah, and I think also it's where your friends are, and like having got a lot of childhood friends in London, it's nice to go back and see them. And when I lived in LA, I used to go back to London, and my friends now have children, and I see them grow up and things. And
that's what's crazy when you go back and you see like change. You can actually see more change than, or maybe nothing's changed and it's exactly this.
Or like friends that were living at home now moved out of home, and that was a big deal for them. And like, you know, just things that we in this modern generation that we are kind of happen to us, which is funny because, you know, 50 years ago, leaving home at 25 would be really strange, or like, you know, having a child at 30, but now it's a lot more accepted.
Yeah. Now, Amy, I believe you had a small role in the movie too. Was that fun to do some acting?
It was definitely, I'm not really one to be in front of the camera, but it was really, Kimberley kind of pushed me to do it, and it was nice to have a cameo. My mum always says, it's ridiculous, you're not in the movie at all. And I'm like, you don't understand filmmaking, Mum, there's stuff to do behind the camera. But quite funny.
We also had an actress playing our mum in the film, and when our mum watched it, she was like, is that what I'm really like?
Yeah, we call her Vagabond, because it's so much based on our mum.
So, yeah, she's so good. But yeah, Amy, it was really nice to see Amy in front of the camera. I think you should do more.
I'm surprised you even noticed.
Yeah. Well, I understand that why Hunter deserves punishment, but what did those pink flamingos ever do to you? And could you really date a man who had pink flamingos?
Do you know what? It's funny because we brought those flamingos home and we've used them at promo events and things because
they've just got detached heads, like decapitated flamingos. Oh God, like they did do something. They represent like kind of just like the craziness of women getting together and like hating. That was kind of mocking that.
Yeah.
Now, Kimberley, I've seen you doing some interviews online, and Amy, I believe I was reading that you were writing for a newspaper. So what's it like to be on the other side of the microphone, so to speak, now that you're doing interviews about the movie?
Oh, it's been really nice to express.
Well, this film's been like a 4-year journey for us, so we know it so well. It's nice to talk about it and share it with people.
Right.
Finally.
Yeah.
But with the world going so crazy right now, how do you feel that a nice sort of slightly lighter entertainment like Daddy Issues is needed in the world right at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, in uncertain times of COVID-19, the film really highlights the FOMO kind of the cause of generational angst and neuroses, where everyone else's life seems to be better than yours, and even in isolation. So now more than ever, it's time to remember the importance of close family. In effect, this film gives a fresh look at the self-sabotage generation, and I think that the whole like the daddy issues concept is still very relatable to, and people that don't have daddy issues, I'd say congratulations. And if you're, you know, insecure, like feeling inadequate, then I think that you know, I think that this film in this generation and this time,
we hope have that a bit of comedy, like an uplifting romp, and true to life, and people can relate to it.
Yeah, because in this time, I think the world does need comedy and light entertainment, and I think that we'll find that even people will make content about COVID-19, but more than that, people want to see entertaining content that makes them laugh and things that take them out of the recession we're living. I hope we don't go through, but
Jay, we have
one last question.
Yeah, okay, last question.
Okay, well, I was just going to ask along those lines, how have you been dealing with the whole shelter-in-place world?
Well, we got a dog. Yeah, dogs are for life, not just for COVID. So
I think it's been a really good way to like reflect on like how you live your life, your daily activities, how much noise you hear just being out in the world, rather than like a quiet, peaceful time that you can really create and make things, which has been quite nice for me anyway. What do you think?
No, I 100% agree. I couldn't have said it better, actually. I think that it's been really nice to just kind of whittle it down to just what your everyday tasks are, and everything becomes a lot simpler, and going out for a walk becomes like a big activity. And you know, the weather was so nice for the 3 months of COVID. It just made me think about the environment, and you know, I wish that you know, all the climate change that I'm really passionate about. I hope that, you know, I hope that it enlightens people to how people can stay indoors, and this whole new work environment that we're accustomed to, and how that can work. And I think we're going to see a lot of changes in the world,
and people are going to look to filmmakers to make light of this, what we've gone through. Like, I think it'll be quite interesting what comes out of this in terms of what people are making.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, is we've found our next story in this time, so we've been developing the next one. So to be continued.
Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with me, and best of luck with the movie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, you're the best. Thank you for taking the time.
Bye.